All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Given, episode 10.
Last episode was wonderful.
Last episode gave us everything!
It was triumph.
Yes! The work paid off.
Indeed.
And the surprise reveal that Mafiu had a song to sing that was beautiful.
Indeed.
And it was a callback to his emotional journey that he's been on.
Yep.
And the places he's wandered looking...
Oh yeah.
Maybe some relief and
Oyama and him they kissed.
Yes.
The feelings have been
yes
made clear, even if they have not been verbalized.
To be fair, it was also primarily an Oyama kissed Mafiu.
That's true. That's true. But we got to see
very much was like a surprise for Mafiu there.
But you know what we got that a lot of anime for some reason don't do is when there's a big emotional development, we actually got to see the aftermath of like how the characters like think and feel about that. It felt really good. There was no time skip. There was no like whatever. Like no, it's like okay.
Oh,
thank you. Yes, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Love.
Also, the whole deal of like, why Mafiu didn't send them the lyrics, I feel like it makes total sense. He had lyrics for part of the song, but not all of it.
Right.
So it's like, yeah. And he went for it, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, it was great.
Yep.
It was awesome. So, yeah, let's have more of this. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion.
Oh
my god.
You know, there is this thing that is something many anime search after, but not many truly find. And that is the power and sanctity of the holy relic that is the derp face. And you know, you could start a religion from how that holy relic was utilized in this show, in this episode specifically. God damn. That was some good stuff.
Yes.
That was strong.
I will come
stuff.
to that altar multiple times a week.
Exactly. Yes. Like it just didn't let up.
It didn't let up.
There was constantly something new, and it's just like, oh my god,
the absolute
I need
panic
this
in Oyama. In his entire being as he was realizing, Joto the fucking Mante. Like wait. Not only did I do that, but I didn't follow up. I don't know how he feels.
Right, and now he's giving me a bunch of one-word like text responses, and I'm like, oh God, what's going on? You know, and
Yabe. and then his moment of like, well, if I'm gonna die, I will die young. That was the most powerful one of them all.
If I were to both from a derp face, but then also with what was being said, because
like from a characterization perspective.
But like once you realize that you're in love with somebody, right? You don't just like them, but it's like, oh shit, I'm down bad, right?
Right. Yeah.
Then it's something where, the littlest thing that they do can undo you, right? And it's like, this.
Yeah.
I can't go on like this, right? Like something has to happen, and well, I guess I'll die then, you know, like it.
But my favorite part about this was set up with the way that they connected in the very beginning of the episode, the idea that the love that he was experiencing wasn't just the love for Mafiu, but the idea that he had fallen in love again with performing musically live, like with a band. Now, this is a big deal because Oyama was someone that we knew cared about this at some point.
Yep.
But he fell out of the passion of it.
Right.
Now, while he's going through the memory kind of experience of that performance was so good, it gives me thrills, even though when I first did this, I was scared and what have you. He hadn't, at that point, because of the gag, remembered that he kissed Mafiu. But the reason why I think it was written that way is because it sets up the idea that this is the kind of guy who leaps before he looks.
Yes.
Goes and basically takes the risk when he has passion. If he doesn't have the passion, he's not necessarily going to do it. That's just kind of the person that he is. So when we see him here kind of wrestling with the idea of like, wait, oh, fuck, okay, all right, God, we'll do this. Oh, well, nope. Yeah, I can't stop myself. Nope. I have to.
Okay, we'll just see what happens, and today is a good day to die. All right, let's go.
He kinda in some ways has the thrills running through him right now. So he's just now having that stage fright issue that he had back then when he first performed for the first time, which is, oh God, what do I do? I'm up here, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I love this feeling, but it's also giving me pure, potent gay panic. Holy shit, what do I do? What? And it's so fucking relatable to see his character kind of be almost recharacterized again through this.
Sure.
I love characters that are filled with passion specifically, but when you have a passion that you don't know what to do with, that's one of the most relatable things. Because sometimes you build the passion. Like you are like
right. It's an intentional thing. You stoke the
focus
fire.
It. You make sure other things from
you make
yourself.
sure it doesn't get rained on, and all that stuff. And it's so that way it can live and grow strong and be self-sustaining. And
right, exactly. And you're aware of like the fragility of it. In this case here, he's just like, oh. He's being guided by his passion. Your passion is taken over.
Right,
him.
you're floating on placid waters, right, and then all of a sudden, and you're just like, okay,
we're going.
Yeah, what's going on?
And it's beautiful as well because from a young love perspective side of things here, he's probably horny as fuck on Maine for one.
Oh, absolutely.
He's second, I would say, experiencing his first love. And this is something that I think is rather important here.
Yeah.
First loves are very unique because you've probably crushed before, but you have a frame of reference usually for first loves of what a crush feels like. But when you crush really hard, you're not sure sometimes whether or not you're in love because you don't know what love is.
Yeah, it's like to call it love is there's often that like stipulation of like it's the junior high love, or something like that.
Sure, but the point is that when the big crush or the down bad or the full love hits you,
gone, man, solid gone.
You don't have necessarily internal filters, boundaries, and all this other stuff set up. Usually because of experience. Well, past hurts, or just at the very least, like common sense.
Yeah,
it's just
for first loves especially, but then also even later in life when it gets harder to fall in love, right? Because it's easy to fall in love when you're young, right? Because you haven't been hurt yet,
Yeah.
And so sometimes I almost think of love as that point in which the barriers that you've set up to protect yourself get overridden. Right. And then it's the
you race to kind of put something back together just in case,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like you were like standing on the side of the ship and you're like, this is fun to like look out at the sea, and
then suddenly you're falling, you're like, what the
and then you get swept overboard and you're like
you just teleported underwater.
You're all right, well, I guess I'm here now.
And that's where the dirt face comes in and you're like,
yep, exactly.
This is fine. Where's the boat? You're like, I don't even know what up is right now.
Exactly.
What is happening?
So relatable,
And that's what's happening right now.
Yep.
So I love that we get the majority of the first person perspective. Like, I mean, not even just the first person perspective. The majority of the perspective this episode through Uenoyama. Because that was something that I really felt like they were doing a good job with whenever they'd give like Uenoyama time to kind of understand what's going on within him here.
Yeah.
And to dedicate like 50 or to 70% of an episode on that is wonderful.
And one of the other things that I also really liked about this is so we don't actually get a lot of perspective from Mafiu. No. We did get some in the previous episode and we got some here as well.
Yes.
But it makes sense. It fits to me for the focus to primarily be on Uenoyama because Mafiu has been through this before.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. So he's going to be a lot more level-headed about it, right? And a lot more comfortable and casual, not because it's trivial, but because he is familiar with the feelings of, yes, I've been swept overboard again. Cool. Like, all right, I'm here. I haven't been here in a while. You know.
Well, also on another level, this is something that's rather important to understand. He's not going through his first love here.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So he's not necessarily swept overboard. Like, it's this thing of where,
Sure. It's maybe it's more like
perspective,
he decides to
he
decides
to just take the plunge and just jump
yeah
in.
yeah
you
just
know?
jump in. He's
And-
like,
and-
okay, I'm ready.
And I'm not
you
trying
know.
to make some philosophical statement about
Right,
whether
right.
love is a choice or no choice at all.
Metaphors can break down. You know.
Yeah, exactly. But the idea right here is that I think he's letting the current sweep him. Basically, he's not trying to resist this in any measure.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's something that is really really sweet.
He
because-
brought his scuba gear. You know, like
yeah. He's like, oh, okay, cool. I think this could be a really good date spot. Hey,
Yep.
by the way, I'm just gonna confess to you right here. I don't
Right.
need you to say anything.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I'll
Like
just
he
tell
didn't
you.
he didn't frame it as a date or anything like that. He was just like, hey, you know, are you free? You know, and there you go, right? And Uenoyama's of course super nervous and like, what do I
And
do? You know?
Uenoyama is giving all the hints on the omniscient perspective that he's
Right.
down bad. But Mafuyu has to be careful and be like,
Yep.
I don't know whether that was just a passionate, just spur of the moment thing. So I'm gonna kind of
Right.
coax this out.
Yeah,
and
he
of course
makes it-
Mafuyu probably thinks he likes him, but it's like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna let him know how I feel
exactly.
all the way,
And we can see-
before we even approach things from his perspective,
Right.
which feels very mature
Yeah,
from Mafuyu's side.
Yeah,
of
very
things.
mature and like a nice balance of sort of rolling out the red carpet for Uenoyama, but at the same time like not making it be something where Uenoyama has to do something in particular, right?
Sure.
Because to quote another anime, to love is to demand, right? And you have to take that in context in
Yes.
a particular way, but
For sure.
when you're in love with somebody, that there's a lot of like I feel like this is maybe not quite the right word, but there's a lot of pressure that comes from that because your feelings are so strong, right? So
Yeah.
so it gets messy, right? And so in this situation, having Mafuyu be like, "Hey, I like you. In fact, I love you." You know, like even starting with like you and then going to love you, at the date spot, and all of that stuff, right? It's I don't know, it's just it's adorable and wholesome and wonderful and it's the kind of like attention to detail with how the characters act within the emotional context of the relationship that I really wish there was more of in anime.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm really glad that we get it here.
Yeah, and because I would say primarily this is a romance story with music kind of tied into it, we are getting that. A lot of romance stories that we've seen, particularly in anime, bundle something else really hard with it, like
Yeah.
comedy or drama.
Or even music.
Or even music. Yeah, exactly. So having something of this nature where the relationships of the characters are deriving the primary focus of the story feels really good. It just feels really good. I can't stress that enough. But on the plot side of things, we actually had a lot of big developments. They've chosen the name for their band, which is a given. Ha, ha,
Right.
ha.
Makes sense.
Yes. But they're getting another gig.
Indeed.
And rather quickly as well.
Yep.
They might not actually have another song ready that will have lyrics by that time. But given that our boys are a bit love-struck, who knows what they're capable
Oh yeah.
of.
No, as far as emotional ammunition to then verbalize in a song, they about to get the whole armory. Like
It really just depends on how much of it can be made into music that will then be, reasonable. Because I would say part of the issue with them having this kind of, well, how would I say this focused, condensed energy between Uenoyama and Mafuyu is that's not necessarily something that the other boys are sharing.
Right, and
except for how much of the fact they focused on how much the performance lit a fire underneath them in terms of like, oh, whoa, this worked. This worked really well.
Exactly. And now it's kind of in the honeymoon stages where it's
Yes.
let's chase this, let's just keep going and doing our thing
See how it goes.
and see how it goes. And then as it goes, they'll, add more structure and things like that. It's
Right.
they can have those conversations of like, okay, how many do we want to put a limiter on how many love songs we have, in order to like make sure that the band's brand doesn't get too pigeonholed into one thing, or like
Sure.
like all sorts of stuff that can come into play as they do performances where yes, you're an opening, but that means the audience can be a lot bigger because there's a very big audience coming for someone else, right?
Yeah, there's an audience dedicated for another band specifically. That is a very exciting thing to do.
Yeah.
It is a very terrifying thing also if you're not ready.
Right, and I love that sort of like thing of that worked great, but the implication of like, but we'll need lyrics before the before the gig next time, you know.
And that ties in rather well to Getsu, who the national level competitor here looks at this and goes, "Oh, like this is great, for what it is." But hearing it live was something else entirely.
Right, and then
and I'm
it's too bad.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and say that like, oh, it's it's amazing, Kaji,
Right.
yay, it's just it's a thing, sure,
Yeah.
I guess,
Like, it's
And,
good,
yeah, and it's part of the in some ways he actually complimented. He's like, oh, actually got something like this set up. That's cool. I didn't know band people were actually tech savvy.
Right,
And
right.
It's like, all right, Mr. Stringed instrument that's not electric.
Right.
Okay.
That little bit of like snootiness,
Yeah,
in,
just
in,
a
in
little
the way he
bit.
says it. Yeah.
I do classical music.
Right, yeah. There definitely isn't any of that in the music scene.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you went to this music school? Oh.
Oh, please. And it's this thing where I definitely am like not trying to judge Ugetsu too much, because I would say he kind of fulfills an archetype that I generally don't like in
Right.
romance stories, because they like to stir up drama.
Yes.
And they also have their head kind of up their own ass because something about what they do is really competent. And this is Ugetsu to a T at this moment.
Yep.
Other than I don't really know him yet.
Right.
But the way he kind of goes, no, see, this is a waste here. It's really it's ridiculous, because he recognizes the talent,
Yep.
but he's also able to tell that even Mafuyu doesn't have the ability to fully tap into that talent.
Right.
It was just he was able to sense its presence through the passion and the visceral emotion. But I wonder actually if Ugetsu can tell that had to have come then from a real place, not from a performance. And to unpack what I'm trying to communicate by that.
I think he did, and that might have been one of the reasons why he believes that only 1/100th of the performance was able to be captured.
Because
in
he's
the
not
recording.
talking about the sound quality.
He's not talking about the sound quality, right?
Yeah.
Like he's talking about the idea of where you can tell in the moment that magic is happening, right?
Right.
And that. Well, no, it's just a recording here, and then it is about the lighting, the sound quality, and things like that. That's what you get, rather than the holy shit, that kid is pouring his heart out, and he also has a beautiful voice.
Right. I just feel like something that ends up getting potentially mistranslated by Ugetsu here, and I might be misunderstanding his interpretation of things here, is that this is that talent is the ability to express yourself in any raw way when it comes to singing and music.
Gotcha.
And obviously he wasn't complimenting Mafuyu's guitar playing skills.
Right.
That's very clear in that regard there. So I think there might be some interesting ways that we'll see how, like, especially if Ugetsu ends up meeting Mafuyu anytime soon, what kind of thing he would designate as a trigger to give him a bigger unlock to what Ugetsu believes is his, his talent.
So mind if I take this for a spin for a minute?
Yeah, go for it.
So there was one of the things that I've made a point of doing is following on social media at various different points different people that I looked up to that were in like artistic pursuits, even if it wasn't like writing specifically or something like that, because I wanted to just sort of like glean from their experience and things like that.
Okay.
And there was one dude in particular who did like a lot of the KOTOR like concept art. I was like,
Yes.
oh, awesome! I love KOTOR, right?
Yeah.
And he made it. He made this post about how, in a lot of ways, he saw success as being one of the things that could cripple people's careers, or not their careers, but their artistic talent, because once he said that once you start getting paid, you stop changing. You stop also in some ways improving. You'll get better,
Yes.
but you'll get better at doing the thing that you're being paid to do, right?
Yes.
Not, getting creative and experimenting and and all of that stuff, right?
Yes.
So
that is very much a unique thing.
Yeah.
But it is definitely a thing.
Right. And so he was saying sometimes one of the best things that can happen is for you to not find success so that you can keep experimenting until you find something great, because you could find something good that like you can then be like, okay, I can get paid from this.
True.
And you do that. And it's like, okay, you can make a living off of it, whatever you're doing, your passion, great. But if you were to not have that opportunity for like another couple years,
Sure.
maybe then you develop your skill and your craft a bit more, and then you get to that point where then you start to really take off. And I feel like that might be what Ugetsu is sort of noticing here, is that what they did, their performance was good enough that people are going to be like, I'm interested in what's the next thing, let's see it, I'm going to follow you, that kind of
Right.
stuff. But that doesn't necessarily mean that this is the best that Mafiu could do.
Yes.
Right? From the whole production standpoint and his own singing
But
capabilities.
he's specifically talking about his singing and performing at that level.
Right,
Not,
right.
Not guitar stuff.
No, exactly.
Obviously,
right. Yeah.
he's not even really interested in that. He's
Yep.
probably intrinsically simply focused on the expression and the performance aspect of that.
Exactly.
Because that's something that that's really hard to quantify. But like you're saying, he was in the room when the magic happened, and he felt it. He experienced it. Obviously, you can't just repackage that and experience it again. And that's also something that might be unspoken but implied, is that he's basically saying, oh, cool, you recorded it and did the same thing. I'm not going to feel the same thing again because
Right.
this is exactly what
Yeah.
I heard with just lower sound quality
Right.
and all that
you
jazz.
you see a picture of a beautiful vista, and that's great and all, but you've seen, you see pictures of beautiful vistas all the time, right? It's the no, I was standing there, I felt the wind, all that stuff, right?
Right.
And I feel like because he's a classical artist, and I don't know too much about classical music, so this is going a little bit out on a limb, but because that's something where you're doing a piece that has already been written, like you're
Yes.
rarely doing your own like compositions and stuff, then the ability to bring emotion and personality out in something that is so duplicated, right? That's even more difficult, right? So I could see
Sure.
that giving him a unique perspective on how important it is that soul of Mafiu's song that was experienced by everybody that night is
Yeah.
kept, right?
Yeah.
Because
I
it'd be
think
very
you're-
easy for it to just become, another
Rote.
YouTube video or something.
Yeah, I definitely think you're onto something there. The idea of something being expressed beyond the medium. I feel like that's what a lot of people find actually really special, to take this in a weird direction about being YouTubers, actually.
Oh.
Is that there are certain YouTubers that have found that what they are doing on YouTube isn't to fulfill a specific niche necessarily, but they just express themselves in whatever they're passionate about at that time, given place,
Sure.
or what have you.
Yeah.
And they put everything into it, and people just love that. They love that. And they don't even necessarily have to upload frequently, or they don't even necessarily have to upload consistently in terms of the type of thing that they're doing. They're just going into their raw creativity and just here it is.
Right.
And I feel like that's the kind of thing that Mafiu is showing here, is that he's capable of digging into his life experiences and pulling forth the raw passion from that. But Ugetsu knows that if this guy was given a different trigger, or a
Right.
new trigger, or a stronger trigger, or something else like that, you could unlock the full aspect of that, where it wouldn't be just sadness, or it wouldn't just be
Right.
heartbreak. It would be anything. It would just be raw expression. And
Yeah.
that's what really music and singing, I would say specifically, is. because you're not confined by the limits of your instrument in that case.
Right.
Your body is the instrument.
Yeah.
Everything from your movements to your voice is on the table.
And that's why the practice of the instrument and stuff is so important, so you can get to the point where there is no discrepancy in the translation of your emotions and what you want to express
Right.
to the actual medium that you're utilizing.
And then hence it's lovely that you're in a band, so you have, you're 1/4 of the musical
Right,
expression in
exactly.
that
Not
regard.
not all the weight and the pressure is on you.
It's on you, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean I'm down bad for this show at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I really am glad there's an OVA and a movie that we'll be going through for this, because just to grab another aspect of this episode really quickly here. Hiragi, who specifically was having his moment of emotional distress
Right.
in the previous bit, because he had basically been given the opportunity to reconnect with Mafia after all this time.
Yeah.
And he's got his own complicated feelings about all this, but he also got to see Mafia do this, express himself
Right.
in this way. And it made his empathic levels peak
And then break.
and
Like,
break and
yeah.
break. Exactly. It's the whole thing of when a microphone gets too much input and just
Right.
And that's basically where he was. And of course, Shizusumi does everything he can, just be like, they're there, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I loved just seeing this guy trying to be like, yeah, well, I mean, it's good to see you. It's normal now. We can
Right.
just talk normally. It's great. It's like, yeah. Oh, God. I want them to have their relationships restored. I can see ways in which it could cause drama, but I very much feel like this can only be good. Like,
Right. The healing has begun, and now it will continue.
Yeah.
Like one of my other favorite things to see in stories in general, and I feel like anime has a because of the medium has a very very special particular way of being able to showcase it.
Okay.
Is dudes being emotionally vulnerable with each other, like
as opposed to like
Like-
you can't do that in live action.
No, not that you can't do that in live action. In anime, you can get a lot more like dynamic and expressive with it. I feel like to focus on it more.
Unrealistically expressed.
Yeah, exactly. But,
I see what you're saying.
But
Yeah.
that's something that I feel like doesn't happen enough in stories in general. Not of the doing it in the anime fashion, but just having it be a thing. So like having Hiragi have this like emotional breakdown, and then Shizusumi just comes up and like hand on the head, like
Yeah. That
was
that's,
just
yeah. That's
right in
good.
the Kokoro.
That's good feelings right there for sure. I feel like that's honestly one of the reasons why I like Haikyuu so much is
sure.
that it's just raw passion, and it's primarily focused on younger boys who basically have that like that conflict and stress and drive or what have you that adds fuel basically to the passion basically when they're at their low points or their high points, and you see differing responses in that regard, and that's something that of course we can see that probably motivated this
oh yes
creator to make this story.
It's something wonderful when you see the inspiration of another work that you also love in something else, and you can tell that the creator whose work you're watching now like got it. You know,
They
like
got it,
like
yeah.
like it's not they're not ripping off like what you would call like, oh, that was cool, but like that's sort of
lazy
the
rip-off.
wrong thing. Yeah, exactly. Like that's
Yeah.
just not the wrong thing, but like the surface level stuff, you know? Like it's not about the fact that they're playing a sport. It's about the fact that they have all these dirt faces and they're so passionate.
And they're
you know,
so
and
passionate, and they're excited to build their relationship
Yeah,
together
like-
through this whole experience. And it's,
Yep. It's wonderful.
It's wonderful. Yeah. Haruki, you're a dork. I fucking love you.
Oh yeah.
Kaji coming in there and being like, all right, ooh, so cool in here. Takes off his shirt. Just like There's so many silly things about these characters, so relatable. I'm just like, yes, shirts are off now. I don't do those here anymore. But then it's like, why? No reason. It's just he wanted to feel the coolness on his skin, and he's very proud of his body. So then he shows Uketsu the footage, and he's all like, huh?
Yeah, that smile on his face when he's like, you seem like happy about something. He's like,
Also, there's so many like little like sweet little derpy moments where they give Mafuyu the meat. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was great.
Also, the moment where they have he reveals the USB drive with the data for the.
Oh, yes.
And they all just kind of go like they all do their little like
right.
Yes.
And the way they were like in sync at different moments. Like
yes.
Where they're basically they're just saying the same thing or thinking the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
Good stuff.
And then of course also the rewind.
Yeah, the rewind. Rewind time, everybody. Oh man, that was
so
just
much to
perfect.
love about this episode.
Yeah.
I also loved Uenoyama just in constant panic this episode. Also, I'm sorry, they did probably the dumbest 3D effect I've ever seen in the most. It was so funny, it almost made me laugh. But just the bit where he's like, oh, hell, like he kind of shows up at the front door.
Yeah,
and obviously he looks cute as fuck, right?
Oh, yes. And then the smoke.
Then the explosive 3D smoke.
Oh, my God.
Specifically goes over
just his body, right? It doesn't go over the background.
Well, it goes a little bit over the guitar.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
There. But you can tell literally that it's specifically done on the layer of his character model, which
it's not on the background.
Guitar,
yeah.
But it specifically isn't shown on the background.
Right. And I think that was supposed to be like his smell because he's been just sweating in this apartment for like so long.
Two things. Yes, it can be the smell. I don't really care about the smell comment. That's hilarious and cute and stuff.
And definitely he's horny on main.
But his face that he's doing right here is the like that's my heart just like I just got overwhelmed by the cute.
Yeah, it felt like an overwhelmed by the cute, and yet it's like an explosion of smoke with like some ash, like some little cinders.
So it's basically his little heart just went kaboom.
Oh, right, yes, his heart actually just exploded. There we go.
Right, that's the
there we go. That's the
joke.
joke. Yeah.
But the thing is that it's using one of like the worst effects ever, which makes it like triply funny.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that was just so.
I didn't even notice that his heart exploded. I thought there was just smoke for some reason. I was like,
you didn't hear the little.
Well, I mean, I guess I did, but I didn't notice that it was like that there was actually a little flash like near his heart, you know. But.
Also, combination of times where you have Uenoyama being like, I can stay a little longer, but, like, I don't want to stay. He's like, no, just 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
And then he's panicked, and then it cuts to the dog. And it's like, yes, we get it, show. This is cute.
You can just stay here and, like, spend time with him. Doesn't have to, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to help out or whatever, and you don't have to be like, hey, entertain me since I'm your guest or whatever. Nope, you can just sit by his bed.
But yeah, also Haruki just being like,
my fellow citizens.
Yes, my fellow citizens. And then here I am with the JoJo pose. Yes, yes.
Oh yeah.
And then just look at Kaji here. And it's so funny because Mafuyu like doesn't know what to do with his hands, so he just kind of like.
Do you know what this reminds me of?
What?
Okay, because in this dynamic, obviously, Haruki and Kaji are the two parents with their two adorable children that aren't their children. This is the parents being like, "Hey kids, we've got a cool surprise for you." Right?
Sure.
And the kids don't even understand necessarily what the surprise is, and Mafuyu might not even like appreciate it right away of just being like, oh, okay, you've got a recording, cool, right? But they're so excited because they're like, no. Eventually, they'll be glad that we have this. Like, it almost felt like we got pictures, like, kind of a thing. But, yeah.
God. They've confessed. Sorry. Mafuyu's confessed. Uenoyama kissed Mafuyu.
Right.
They're at the ocean at a date spot. The ship sailed. Yes.
Yeah,
the
right.
Ship
it literally
went like
tropey and wonderful.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, that's not even really a trope. That's more just like a joke. That's
Right. It's a well-tread joke because it works. You know, like
right. But I would say it's actually too new of a thing and it's too
really?
short of a thing to be a trope. Yeah.
yeah. I don't.
Like,
Oh no,
I feel like they would have to be on the ship. Like that's the trope. Is like characters confessing like near
but just having like the horn of the ship, like I feel like that.
I feel like we use the word trope a bit too liberally. I think that's an example of just a funny joke.
No,
like,
okay. Technically, I think it would be motif, but rather than trope.
Sure.
But
yes.
You know what I
neither
mean.
here nor there. We
right.
get what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But all right, y'all. Just thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
Next time.